expanded the functionality of now the commander in the game. So one feature we have here that they can do is aerial recon. This is going to bring in a recon plane over the battlefield and will spot any of the enemy positions that the airplane can see. If you're in a building, you're fine, but if the airplane can see you, you'll see here in a moment red dots starting to appear on the map. This indicates the positions of the enemies. This information also filters through the chain of command with a slight delay for the squad leaders and other infantrymen on your team. So now that I know that there's some enemy over in this village over here, I think I should go call some artillery on them and give them some trouble. So mark my position with the binoculars, then call it in on the radio. One of the things in the first game is we just featured regular artillery, and now we've expanded this to include smaller explosive strikes with mortars for smaller area of damage and also less risk of casualties, particularly in urban areas, all the way up to fully devastating rocket strikes that can blanket a really large area. For now, though, we'll just call in some artillery. So in the original game, the environment was fairly static. When an artillery strike fell, it could kill the players, it could kill the vehicles. This is my recon plane. But it didn't do anything to the environment. For the new game, we've created a system we call massive destruction. This allows us to dynamically destroy any object in the game environment that we deem necessary. I'm going to demonstrate that now. While we have the ability to destroy anything in the game world, we don't think it'd be really fun to fight on a completely flat open area. So we limit the destruction to a degree. You know, you'll damage the buildings, you'll be able to shoot through them, but you'll still kind of be able to cover around them. Friendly fire is an option. For multiplayer, servers will have the ability to turn off friendly fire, but by default there will be friendly.
Now I want to get into how some of the weapons interact with the game.
If anyone is familiar with the original Red Orchestra Ostfront, we had a very innovative 3D sniper scope system in the game. What this meant is in most games you have this two-dimensional texture overlay over the screen and they just zoom the view in. In Red Orchestra Ostfront, the system had a 3D scope and you were actually looking through the lens of the scope. For the new game, we've greatly enhanced this system. We're calling this 3D Scopes 2.0. So as you see, when you're with the 3D scopes, you retain the peripheral vision around the side of the screen. This is really great because if an enemy walks up next to you, they won't be caught in this black area that you usually have with traditional 2D overlay. We've also done a lot of work to enhance the visuals of the 3D sniper scope. It now has a really nice refraction effect that gives you the look of glass. Another thing that we've added to the sniper scopes that's not just visual though, is this what we call the shadow effect. When a scope moves in real life, as it gets misaligned, you sort of get this, what they call an ocular shadow. We've actually modeled this for our sniper scopes. One of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to make a very realistic and intuitive sniper system, but also give the sniper some of their real disadvantages. Because in multiplayer games, snipers tend to have all of the advantages, but none of the real-world disadvantage. We also feature in Red Orchestra a full ballistic system. But in the first game, when you shot at someone that was really far away, because of the bullet drop over distance, you had to just aim a little bit higher and estimate your shot. This made it more difficult than it should actually be, even in real life, to shoot the enemy. So what we've now added is the ability to dial in the range of your sniper rifle. So now, just like in real life, you dial in the range, aim at the target, and shoot directly at it. While it's really good for shooting at enemies in the distance, enemies up close are actually kind of hard to hit just because you're so zoomed in. Well, in our research, we discovered that these World War II era sniper rifles actually were still equipped with their normal weapon sights. So we added the ability to switch back and forth to the real weapon sights. This makes engaging nearby enemies much easier, and then you can switch to the scope for long-range sniping. Another thing we've added is a system to not just allow range adjustment for the scopes, but also range adjustments for all of the sights in the game. This is really cool because it has enhanced the long-range combat. No longer are you estimating the shots in the distance. You aim at the enemy and then you shoot it.
Another feature they added to the game was a button to check your ammo. The only indication you have is whether a magazine is heavy, medium, or light. If it's heavy, it's near a full clip. If it's light, you're running out of bullets. So this gives you the option to check how many rounds are in your magazine before you reload it, so it can save you some time.
Bipod mounted machine guns were also featured in the first game, but there were, one of the complaints about the system was they were kind of difficult to deploy onto objects in the world. So with the new game, we've made a lot of improvements to the system to make this very easy to use and make the bipod machine guns a lot more useful. So in the first game, for instance, if I wanted to deploy on this object, I would have to look at it at just the right angle. It was kind of fiddly. Now you can walk up to any object in the world, press your zoom key, and the player will lock right on. Even if you're not looking right at it, will lock right on to that object. And you can just walk away when you're done using it. This makes the weapons a lot easier to use. Another new function that we've added is our camera movement with the bipod deployment. In most games, when you deploy a weapon like this, including the original Red Orchestra, it kind of looks like you're moving the weapon around, it's floating in your hands. When in reality, it should move more like this. And no game has really done this before with a portable weapon. It's actually very difficult to implement. But as you can see, the weapon moves just like it should in real life. This isn't just a visual thing, though, as I'll show you here. If you were deploying on this in most games, you'd be sitting here, and when you aim down, your weapons kind of go down into the object. But in Heroes, since the camera moves up just like it should, you can actually fire down onto lower levels and get the proper view that you really should have. You know, the great thing about all of this stuff is, while it's making the game more realistic, what we really feel like is making the game more realistic. In this way, we're actually making it easier to play because we're giving you easier functionality to do things that are easy to do in real life.
In the previous game, we had a lot of complaints about people who were prone, and they'd say, well, grenade landed near me, I need to get up, start running. So we've taken that feedback into account. So now, you just start sprinting while prone, you get up into a crouch sprint, start moving, let go, you're back down and prone, ready to go. We've also, as you might have seen there, optimized our machine gun deploy. As soon as you go prone, your machine gun immediately goes to the deployed state. So there's just one less click for the user to do. Simplified it, optimized it. Now the player will also automatically pick up the machine gun and replace it when moving around. No need to undeploy. One of the cool new things we've just recently added in with the light machine guns, and I'll show this again with our heavy machine gun system, is in the old game, once user was deployed, if they wanted to reload or change the barrel of their, change the barrel of their machine gun, they either had to stay deployed and be exposed, or they had to undeploy, go prone, redeploy, do all that, come back up, and then deploy again. This time we've added a new feature which we think people will really like, where you just crouch while staying deployed, and you can go ahead and check your ammo, reload, immediately pop back up and keep going on with the fight. What I'm going to be demoing here for you is our new heavy machine gun system and give you an explanation of how it works, and I'm also going to cheat a little bit and show you suppression. But as you can see here, this is a heavy machine gun mounted on a tripod. We just recently fully implemented them in game. Player walks up to them, hits use, and attaches. Like with light machine guns, the player can crouch behind it and even blind fire these devices. But these are a new terror to the battlefield that gives the enemy team something to shoot at, and a sniper is a new primary target to take out, because a skilled man on one of these can quickly dominate the battlefield. How these machine guns work is our mappers place them throughout the maps as they deem fit, but they're not always in every location. The map will determine on load which ones it wants to spawn, which one it doesn't, so you never know where exactly they will be every time. Like there's another location right down there where there is also a heavy machine gun in place, and there's one up here, so these are probably the two the map decided to spawn for the German team this time around.
Another feature that we've added to Heroes of Stalingrad, in the original Red Orchestra we had a sway system when you went into aiming mode. Sort of moved your gun around like this. really wasn't accurate to what a real life weapon would do in a person's hands. Now we're modeling a full breathing model. This enemy here. As you can see, as the player breathes in and out, the weapon will move up and down. Stop shooting me. The weapon will move up and down and shake a little bit, just like it would in a real person's hand. But what we've also done is added a system that we call controlled breathing. With controlled breathing, reload here real quick. You can actually, the player can actually hold their breath for a moment, pause, and then they will breathe slowly and pause between each breath. This is really good for long-range combat, as if you fire when the breath is paused, you'll get the most accurate shot. Heroes of Stalingrad, like the original game, features a full ballistic system that simulates bullet drop and travel time for the rounds. One of the things that wasn't in the first game, though, that's been very highly requested, is a bullet penetration system, and which I'm happy to say we have in the new game, as you can see, shooting through thinner objects.
Environmental temperatures can affect several elements of the game. The heat can affect how fast an MG will overheat, tank rounds, and bullet trajectory.
One of our big goals for Heroes of Stalingrad is to make the most realistic weapon functionality and handling in any first-person shooter. So if you're familiar with the first Red Orchestra, you know that we have this system called free aim. There's no crosshair, and the weapon is able to be moved around independent of the player's camera. And then the bullets will go exactly where the barrel of the gun is pointed, not the center of the screen. This allows you to have a realistic challenge while shooting at people without aiming. What we've done for the new game is extended this system to work with in the aiming mode. So you can see the weapon move slightly independent of the camera, and this is really good if you're trying to scope out enemies at a certain area. You can actually move the gun down out of your view a little bit and then back up to take your shot without losing sight of the target.
Red Orchestra 2 has a mounting weapon system, so you can rest weapons on top of sandbags or a wall, and that will help stabilize the weapon.
Another thing that we've added to the game is, you've probably seen this in a lot of other games, you walk up to a wall, the first-person weapon comes down. We've taken this type of thing quite a bit further and added what we call first-person weapon collision. So when you're aiming, if your weapon touches a wall, it actually physically interacts with the wall. The wall will push back, and this really gives you the feeling that you're using a weapon in the first-person world, as opposed to just having something bolted to your screen. It really enhances not only the gameplay, but the immersion that you have a real object in your hands.
These are the majority of the features in Red Orchestra 2. There could be more that I missed out on. The game releases on PC only on August the 30th. Beta starts this month. To get in the beta, you can pre-order the Digital Deluxe Edition on Steam, or you can try to get one of the 20,000 beta keys they're going to give away soon. That's it. I hope you liked the video. See ya.